And welcome to the first of, I don't know how many. Oh, God, we've missed probably close to a month, but welcome to the first episode of Behind the Mask in Some Time. My host is, my name is Dennis. I'm going to be your host tonight. As you can see, the gentleman to my, oh, sorry, that side, there we go. Gentleman to my side there, Lupe, is going to be coming in. We're going to be talking with you tonight. Got a lot to share. Obviously, again, it's been a few weeks since you've seen us, and we apologize for that. It's what I like to say is life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. That being said, yeah, there you go. There you go. That being said, I'd like to just kind of get right into it and start off with just a couple of shout outs. First of which going to the man joining me tonight, Lupe. He's been a big supporter of the show and he's been a great friend. So Lupe, thank you very much for all of your continued support and for putting up with us and coming on the show with us. So greatly appreciate it.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't for this, I mean, it would just be me and my checkerboard league that I'm in. So
now you and I both know that's not entirely true because we've exchanged notes on various video games and cheesy horror movies and things like that. So
yeah. Yes. On the real side, no, I've been getting my son ready. He's making his comeback into the paintball world after graduating college. He will be playing a 3-man this weekend with Destiny, Texas.
Oh, excellent. And that's very, very good news. Absolutely.
Yep. And Haley will be on the other side of the field, debuting with the University of Houston's paintball club team. So,
oh, very nice. What's their first event?
It's going to be this Sunday too. It's the last 3-man for HTPS, which is run by some of the Pro Edge guys, and she's kind of trying to get their feet wet too because they have zero tournament experience. So,
gotcha.
It's one of those deals, but she's got some good alumni behind her. So,
nice.
So
wow, that's excellent news. And you recently had a birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, the other big shout out I'd like to give to I don't know if he's even in the chat tonight, but Mike over at Charm City Paintball, another good friend of ours, big supporter of the show. So I'd love to, thank him. Shout out to him. I believe he's still in Tennessee right now. I think he's on vacation with his family. So enjoy your time, Mike, and we'll talk with you soon. But yeah, I'd like to just kind of jump right into it. World Cup. We're not quite 3 weeks away now.
Yep. I think 20 days or maybe even less. So
very, very cool. Yeah. A lot of interesting things coming up for Cup. A lot of rumors. I always kind of wanted to talk with you a little bit about, what we might be seeing at Cup, what new products are going to be debuting and things like that. Me personally, I think it's time for GOG, DLX, Smart Parts, or I should say Shocker Paintball. They need to release something new.
That's what I'm hearing too, and I heard something about that way back at the beginning of summer. Is that they're either releasing a new Shocker and a new Lux with the new bolt systems on each, with the bolt systems also being available to retrofit older guns. That's what I heard. Apparently there's going to be something like that in maybe just the bolt system being upgraded, an upgraded bolt system for both guns or something along those lines. And we'll see.
Now, obviously, the Lux is kind of, GOG Sports. It's their flagship marker. Mm-hmm. And we've seen the Lux, for the most part, cosmetically has not really changed much. Slight milling changes here and there. There have been a few private labels, obviously the Adrenaline Lux being one of the most popular We've seen some Ripper Luxes, things like that. But for the most part, the gun itself has not changed much. What I would love to see is not only, as you said, upgrades to the bolt system. Hopefully they'll be able to improve on that. Although I've said it so many times that I don't know how much more efficiency you can squeeze out of these guns without really sacrificing the ability to shoot that real super brittle tournament paint.
Right.
There's got to be that. We've kind of hit that fine line. So I don't know how much more can be done to that.
I mean, when it comes down to it, the technology for moving air from one point A to point B is basically what we're doing. In the industry that I work in, and as far as like pneumatics, as far as running plant automations, it's all the same concepts, only the pressures are different, and that has not changed in 50 something years. So
right.
It always amazes me when we do come out with, like Planet Eclipse just came out with a new bolt system, and it's like, hey, and it's the same storyline every time: lower bolt pressure, smoother shot. So I mean, it's nice to see, but we haven't seen anything revolutionary, I would say, as far as bolt systems since the Matrixes came out, when the first spool valve guns, and everything's been a play on the spool valves ever since then. And then we had the poppets come back, which what was the big innovation on that? The lever valves.
Yep.
And that's what Haley prefers to shoot. And I mean, they're nice, but I mean, does it really feel that much different from my my Dragon Timmy? Yeah. It's lighter.
And that being said, it's been talked about a lot. Going back to GOG, they actually still have the rights, I guess you could say, to the design for the Impulse. And there's been rumors that a production Impulse has been made. It's being shot by a team. I don't know which one. I couldn't tell you, but supposedly it exists. What do you think I guess I should say, how do you feel the market would react to a mid-level poppet? Something, $1,000 or under.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously, I still like, even one of AC Kids last week was trying to find an E-Tech 5. Or is it 4? Did they go up to 4 or 5?
I think they went up to 5.
I think they went up to 5. But
yeah.
Why do you want those? Those were like shotguns when they shot.
Yeah.
And it's just something different. Just on a quick note, our guest is texting me and saying he's having problems getting in.
Yeah, I saw that as well. He was in, and then he said it kicked him out. So I'm not sure what's going on.
So, but yeah, I mean, it would be nice if we had something else, because I mean, we used to have the Cyborgs from MacDev, which was a poppet gun, and then of course the Timmy's back with the Bob Long days. I think even ICD had one out at one point. But yeah, it would be kind of neat if, like, say, what is the Dynasty guns? The
Force.
The Forces came out with a reissue on a poppet gun based on, kind of the Timmys, but like another Dragon Timmy. You know, I had one. I loved it.
And I mean, even to that point, the G6R, I mean, it was such a popular marker. It was probably the last quote unquote Timmy that there was, but I know there's still a huge market for them. A lot of people still love that platform, and that's actually another thing that every so often I'll come across a rumor saying that, Force is actually looking at possibly bringing back the G6 platform. As to how true that is, I don't know. You might actually know more, since you've occasionally spoken with some of the Dynasty guys at events and things like that. But I don't know if that's something that they would necessarily share with you.
Yeah, that subject hadn't come up. I mean, you know, I guess the dynasty guy I most deal with most is Mike Urena over where we practice at, and it's mostly
Right.
cleaning his gun for him. So, but yeah, that subject matter has never come up. So, but hey, who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us. I mean, because what else is supposedly coming out is a new dye gun.
Yeah.
An M4, I would imagine. What else? Well, wasn't there gonna like? I thought I'd seen something on Scotty's page about maybe like a waffle looking DSR, maybe.
You know, I saw something similar to that, and again, it's hard to say for sure. You know, some of those CAD drawings were more focused on the grip frame itself as opposed to the marker body. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to say whether or not, you know, there is anything to it. That's what we're okay. So I've got a question in the chat about our guest. We're hoping, yes. Apparently, every time he tries to get into the lobby, it's kicking him out. So we're not sure what's going on with that. It looks like oh no, he made it. He made it. Okay. So yes, he'll be on in just a moment then. But yeah, like that, I don't know for sure whether or not some of those CAD drawings are, you know, legit. The other thing that I am curious about is whether that Geo5 is actually going to release. It's supposedly been they put the trademark out for it, you know. But whether or not we see it at World Cup, I think that's going to be another one that we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I'll be able to tell you.
That's true. That's true. I know you're gonna rub that one in on me. Yeah, unfortunately for everybody watching, World Cup is out of the question for me again this year. Thought I was gonna make it happen, and it didn't happen.
No Flippers pizza for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it makes me very sad.
So this has been kind of surprisingly a quiet run up to Cup so far.
It really has.
Than most years that I've been dealing with it, because I mean, you know, we kind of knew about when the Shocker amps. We kind of knew about those. I mean, it was a worst kept secret.
Yeah.
What was last year? Was it LV2s or no? It was the CS3. Now it's the worst kept secret, and you know.
Yep.
So it's really no amps out, not amps. What are those? The whole situation with the triad loaders. I mean, I guess that's kind of been buried now. And
yeah, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that. That's gotten kind of quiet. Although speaking of the triad loaders, one of the most well publicized teams that were shooting the triads for a while, AC Diesel, they've got some news. So it looks like Mike Hinman has been let go as coach of AC Diesel.
Yeah, that kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that, mainly just because, I mean, I've said it so many times. Mike's pedigree speaks for itself. The man has been a part of so many winning teams. He's got a coaching style that, you know, players can identify with. Mm-hmm. And I have to wonder. And I know you're close with the Johnsons and with the AC camp. And so, you know, I'm not going to ask you to weigh in on that, but I just have to wonder kind of what the thought process in that was.
I mean, what I will say is, it's hard to understand how this was going to work last year when there was all Latin Saints,
right?
It's not working now, and I don't, it's just, what's the explanation there? It's like seeing I don't even know an all-star team just blow it, but I don't know, and all I can guess is maybe there was some personalities butting heads there with Henman. kind of bringing his West Coast style here to Texas, which,
Right.
as we kind of know, is that can differentiate between here and, even the Northeast teams and Florida teams.
Oh,
And maybe,
absolutely.
but yeah, I just wonder if it was maybe kind of a mutual parting of the ways, or, I mean, the way it sounds like they just kicked him to the curb. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Who do you replace him with? I mean,
yeah, that's the one that I'm trying to figure out is like,
I mean, it's awfully late in the season to start trying to grab somebody else off of one of these other teams. So
yeah, and I mean, is Mark going to step in there and just do it himself? We don't know. Obviously, yeah. I mean, none of us really know. But it was an interesting move for sure.
All right.
Interesting move for sure. So, what was I going to say? Gosh darn it. So I was talking about that, and then, speaking of, with the triad kind of becoming a bust, everybody was speculating that, so all of a sudden we're going back to shooting Halo 2s now, but if you look real close at some of the pictures from Chicago, those are not standard Halo 2s. I mean, you could tell just by the shape of them. They look almost like the old hybrid suicide shells. And the speed feeds that were on them looked really old school. I mean, they look like those old ones with the finger gates that just, on one side.
Well, and sure, it was no big secret. Like, I guess the week or two before Chicago, Greg was looking for parts for those, like speed feeds and all that.
Right.
Old Halo 2. So I thought that was kind of funny too. When I had to ask for Haley, I asked B as like, okay, so I think this triad thing's kind of dead. Haley's the only one using it. Hers on the team. Can she switch back to her control loader? She said, yeah, I guess so. So, I mean, it was like when Haley didn't have to shoot the level loader anymore. She punted that thing into a pond in Florida. She was so mad that it was so disaster. It was such a disaster with that. And we immediately went over to the Virtue tent and bought a Spire. So,
wow. All right. Well, I mean, that it's like we said, remains to be seen as what new toys we're going to have come World Cup. But we've got visitors.
Sniffing my chicken over here.
Yeah. But I'd be real curious to see, again, whether or not we're going to see some new markers, whether or not we're going to see some new, loaders, and of course, the swag, the new jerseys, the new pants. We're going to have to see what the new hotness is for the year coming.
Yep. I plan on going over to the Hormesis tent with my good friend Chris Odom and see what I can get.
Okay, name dropper. Okay.
He's a pretty good guy. He's very genuine, at least to me. Of course, like I say, and I guess will be proven soon enough, is even Bambi has his enemies. So,
yeah, that's true. It's very, very true. All right. Well, moving on from that, I think I'm going to go ahead and get our guest in here. It looks like he's in the lobby waiting. So, I know most everybody's been waiting to hear what news is coming out. So let's go ahead and bring him on in. Nyles Burgess.
Good afternoon. How are y'all doing?
We're doing good, Nyles. How have you been?
Doing good, man. Just working.
Good.
Keeping busy.
Well, and that's all anybody can ask, right?
I'm actually out of town right now on business and hoping to get back into town before the weekend hits. So that's my goal. But
okay.
It's all good. Living the dream, as most people can say.
As much as you can. There you go. So, I mean, I guess it's no real hidden secret. There's been a lot of news coming, out of your guys' camp, but I wanted to give you a chance to be able to talk about it and kind of address those things. So, let's go ahead and just start there.
Sure. A lot of things I can't really comment a lot of things on. Like, and I spent the last hour talking to Carbon this afternoon, which was great. A lot of new stuff,
Sure.
new ideas, new sponsorship opportunities. But we picked up 7 new players this week for the semi-pro line.
Okay.
It's been no secret that I run a very strict program. I'm very, very, very particular about what we do. Some people would say I run it too strict. We start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's unfortunate. Sometimes we start early because we're trying to get the field aired up and things going on. We don't get to start till 8:30 sometimes.
Of course.
But it's always been a deal. I get out there about 6:30. Most of the time, I would drag Hayden with me until he started driving for himself, and I couldn't get him out there as early. But we get the paint out in the field and get things going. Look, we had a key with the paint in, so we could get out there in the field for the guys. So it's really been good. I mean, for 4 years in our camp, I think we've got a really good program.
Well, the results have certainly spoken for themselves. You've had success at every level. I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, semi-pro, it's going to be, it's such a huge step from, going where you guys were."
But we knew that, right? We knew it was going to be
right.
tough. Yeah. And I'll tell you. By the way, Lupe, real quickly, happy birthday, man! I don't get a chance to talk to you. Always a pleasure, my friend. Always good to see you.
I appreciate it. When me and you get up to this age, it's just it's just like I appreciate each year at a time, right?
Yeah,
like
ibuprofen. That's my key, ibuprofen.
Mine is baby aspirin, but yeah, you and me both know.
Baby aspirin.
So to answer your question is, we knew going into it was going to be tough. We planned it for the last couple of years to make the bump up. We picked up some other players along the way. We've lost some along the way, kind of part of the program. But, Kim and I work really hard to keep the program going. I mean, she does their laundry at the events. A lot of times she makes peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We go buy fruit and stuff for the guys have what they need at the field. Chicago's an example. She cleaned pods from sundown, and we didn't have a real thick pit crew. So she did, the pit. Well, her and I really did. And Houston was a big help in that too. But he's always pitting for other teams and doing things. So it's really just been it's been a lot of fun, but it's work. The events are work, and the guys decided. I've been very particular about that. All of the people that play for us have to show a lot of support to our sponsors, because I'm a firm believer that just having a name on a jersey is not enough. You got to show a lot of love, and we really believed that. I believe that we should give 150% more to a sponsor than what they give to us. And I was talking to Powerhouse guys at the Bunker Fest. He's like, "Man, it was really great. You're one of the only teams that come up that people said that they actually bought Powerhouse because they saw it on our jerseys and on our post and some of the things we posted about them. And that's good, exciting stuff. That means I'm doing my job, right?" And we work really hard to do that. Carbon, I just talked to Carbon. Carbon's like, "Man, we got some great ideas for next season. We want to talk about them. I got some stuff I want to roll out at this event." And part of this year, Andy is a perfect example. Andy was in medical school, then he decided to go to nursing, and that's a lot. Going to college, trying to play at this level, it just keeps him busy, right? And so we brought other players in because we weren't sure, based on our conversation, if Andy would complete the season, because you never know what school is going to require of him. A couple times he had to fly in kind of a late Thursday afternoon type thing or evening, and so we wanted to make sure we're prepared. And it's no secret that the players have decided to go their own way this season. Not mad at them. I was at first. I was hurt because I've worked very hard. My wife and I spend a large amount of our own money on this program. I bought the bus. I took a loan out for part of that bus, and a sponsor helped out with other part of it. Then there's $10,000 for a wrap on that bus. Those wraps aren't free. They don't just come to you. Our team attorney paid for part of that wrap, and unfortunately, most sponsors in the paintball world don't give you money. They give you product. Product doesn't pay for those things. A couple of events, I even slept on the bus, which I do enjoy to save money. The team slept in our hotel room. I stayed in the bus. I don't mind it. It's actually peaceful and kind of quiet, but I enjoy that stuff. But we have picked up new players. We're going to a new thing. I've got some exciting news that I can't really spread right now, if you will, for lack of a better word, because I've made some commitments and not to. Caden's got some exciting stuff coming his way, so that'll be great. I'm looking forward to that, and that'll be coming in the next week or two in there, and he's doing his thing, so I'm super excited about that. But I'm not mad. I mean, Chris Boyd's a great player. He's solid. He thinks that going out on his own will give him an opportunity to expand his career. I can't be mad at someone. Although I was at first, I was hurt because he was one of my main guys as far as communication, set the guys up, get things going.
Sure.
But truth is you got Chris G. He's only been playing paintball for a short time, and if he thinks going with the Hayes guys and doing their own thing is better for him in the future, I can't be mad at him. But I will tell you that our program provided them with a lot of free stuff. Their guns were free. They didn't pay for them. Their masks, all their gear. The guys did pay for their own pants, except for the last 4 guys that came on from Hayes. I paid for the pants, but money was tight for the boys. And as you know, paintball being expensive, that happens a lot of time.
It's an extremely expensive sport. Absolutely.
Yep.
But this paintball has been a full-time job for us. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a full-time job. And I've had people call me and go, "Oh, what about this? What about that?" Listen, it's work. I mean, we get up, I get the pods up, take them to the field. I get out there. When they get to the field, all they got to do is get dressed, air up the field, maybe change it once in a while. And but I will tell you that sometimes people tend to get a little spoiled when you get into that level of play. And I don't think we've done anything great. I will tell you that being 15th in semi-pro is not a bad place to be for a brand new start in that.
For a brand new team, I mean, that's there's a lot to be proud of for sitting, essentially middle of the pack in your first season. I think that's definitely something to be proud of. Absolutely.
Well,
I know I couldn't do it.
Right. Well, we had a coach that never coached semi-pro. Semi-pro was out of my league, so this was a learning curve for him, a learning curve for us, getting to know each other, finding new boundaries. I have a rule that one thing that we hadn't done well this year is spent much time on the D4 line, and it's unfortunate. So I set some new boundaries here in the last few weeks that, hey, you got to spend some time with them. That's our job, is to help them be better. Help them get what they need to. And we've always had a great program that did that. And I've always felt like we've given back to paintball. But I don't feel like we had been doing a good enough job. So last weekend, I really got to spend some great time with the D4, the last 2 weeks, actually, with the D4 line. It felt fantastic. We got some new training going. The guys were working hard, having a good time, picked up some new players. And in the meantime of losing my players, with the exception of a few, it's hurtful when you do that, because the loyalty in paintball has always been a problem, in my opinion, and everybody's opinion, because I hear it all the time. They kept telling me, when you go to semi-pro, people are going to poach your players, they're going to jump up after them, and I didn't believe that, but it's true, and it's okay, because if you can better your career going out there, I have nothing to be mad at you for. I'm not going to be angry.
Yeah.
I've
I mean,
great players.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen that so many times in the past. It may not be dollar for dollar the same situation, but I mean, we saw it with. I'll use Alex Goldman as a perfect example. I mean, he's kind of team hopped over the past maybe 5 seasons or 6 seasons, something like that. His reasons obviously are his own, but a lot of times people have kind of questioned where the loyalty is in how come he's not sticking with one group and really seeing it out, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, that's something that has always been present in paintball. I feel like at the end of the day, of course, we want to win. It's a sport, it's a competitive sport, and nobody is 100% okay with coming in second place, or third place. But obviously, if you're leaving everything out there on the field, you don't have anything to be ashamed of,
Right.
But yeah, at the same time, it's to be expected that you're gonna see roster changes and things like that, and unfortunately, sometimes it happens in this manner. Now, I have to ask. There is somebody in the chat asking, was there a reason given as to why the players left?
Yeah, there was.
Or actually, before you answer that, Nyles, are you comfortable with answering that question, or is there
I have no
parts of that
secrets. I
that
don't give a
maybe you
shit.
don't want to discuss?
No, I don't give a
Okay.
shit. Here's the
Okay.
reality of life. My wife and I have spent so much time putting into this program. We work. My wife takes her vacation every year to be a part of this program. She gets 4 weeks a
Mhm.
year. She takes it and she's there. She's staying up all night. Why? Who washes their damn laundry every night you're in a hotel room? That's her thing. We go to the laundromat, wash their laundry, while they're sitting at the field and playing or watching the pros play and all that stuff. That was kind of our job. That's kind of what we did, right? To make their stuff easier.
Sure. Sure.
Am I going to tell you I like it? No. Do I think they're a little bit spoiled in the sense of it? Yeah. Here's the reality of that. What I was told was that they didn't like the fact that I run my program the way I do, in the sense that one of the guys said he felt like I was holding them back, which is interesting because I don't do any coaching. I'm a pit crew. If you want to know the pit, I make a joke about it. I'm the pod bitch, if you want to know the truth. I'm the one in the pits running to get the paint, hauling everything back. Lupe, you know what I'm talking about. We're the ones running all over the place, making things done. Doing. I did schedule. I had 3 scrimmages scheduled for this coming up, and it started because, without going into too much detail, because the guys wanted more involvement where they get to make more decisions about what we do. And we had a rule that if we travel for practices, I need adequate notice so that the other guys could be involved. There's some people, like Fluffy's an example. The poor guy works he manages a major bar and nightclub, so getting weekends are his time. So in order to get him off,
Right.
we'd have to work past all that. But
Right.
it wasn't a control thing. I mean, I had somebody tell me one time, goes, and I'm not going to mention names, made a statement that I can I can meet them at a field if I want to be a part of the team. And my response is, "Motherfucker, you kidding me? This is my team. I built it from the ground up." Everybody laughed at me when I started. Said, "You're never going to build a championship team. You're never going to go in there." And we did it in 4 years. This is the 4th year. So I don't want to hear any negative, and I don't care. I can walk away from paintball tomorrow and say I've done a good job. Most of those guys. Look at Andy. Andy started in D5. We moved him back to D5 for an entire extra season to give him some experience. And look at where that kid is now, right?
Yeah.
So was it great for him? Yeah, we've had some great solid people along the program. But the exact answer was, and here's something else: my players don't pay shit for tournaments. They pay their own airfare and they pay half of the entry that's it, half the entry. That's it. Everything else has been paid for. Their hotels were paid for by a sponsor. Their guns are paid for. The gear they shoot and their masks were paid for. And if you want to know the truth, I paid the extra money for the mask. They didn't, right? Carbon paid for the pod packs in tune. We got a great deal on some great stuff. I paid for most of the jerseys, right? The paint at the events was paid for. Thank you for Giant Party Sports for taking care of all that for us. And now I'm super excited because Valken has been a huge sponsor for us this season as we're going into the last event and into next year. It's been great. I've been blessed with the ability to help Valken grow paint in Texas, and I'm super excited about it. But we've had a great program. My children will tell you they don't like paintball because, in their opinion, I spend more time with my paintball family than I do with my own family. My 2 daughters are the worst because they get mad. Dad, you're going every Sunday. I get it, but when you take a commitment to something, you live by that commitment. So my players had it made. I mean, how many semi-pro teams that have all that haven't won, haven't done anything great yet, right? D3, we're in 2nd place for the season. I'm proud of that. They worked hard. Do we have room for improvement? Absolutely. The reason I step back from coaching is because I'm not comfortable enough and good enough in the players and think I could run it at that level. It takes someone with more experience than I had. And I'm not mad. So I'm the guy that runs through and organizes things. Is there any program that runs 100% perfect? If there is, shit, call me, because I'm the guy that calls Alex from X Factor and asks him questions. He's invited me down a couple of times to help out, which is great. I have the guys from Notorious have been phenomenal. Ryan, I talk to Ryan on a regular basis. If there was anybody that has been a great inspiration in my life, it's been Ryan. When I have a problem, that's the guy I call.
Right. Right.
Mark is great from he and I talk on a regular basis. And a matter of fact, he asked me to bring his paint back from the events. The team didn't pay for a bus. A sponsor paid a portion of it, and I took out a loan for the rest of the bus. Show me who else pays for that. That comes out of my paycheck. So when players talk about they need more, I don't know that I got any more to give. I almost lost my house for a while because I'd put so much into paintball. Everybody knows I lost everything with COVID, and we still managed to maintain our team. My company got rid of me because I'd been out. I was in the hospital I had 2 heart attacks, almost back to back. I lost 46% of my lung capacity. And I was grateful for the people that ran the program. Hayden stepped up and ran the program with the coach while I was in the hospital. And when I was at home, the doctor says, hey, you can't leave the house for 6 weeks. But I still managed to work with all the sponsors. If you ask Carbon and Lux, I started the guys going, hey, man, we need to help them set the tent up. We need to break that stuff down if we're available. The only one I didn't help out was the last one. It was raining pretty bad. I wasn't feeling well, but I stayed in the bus in Chicago the entire time because the players wanted to play 10-man. We didn't make it to Sunday. They wanted to play 10-man. So I said, listen, I'll stay here. You guys play. When you get back, I paid for an extra couple of days at the hotel room, or an extra day at the hotel room. So we came back. When they got in the bus, we took them all back to the hotel. They showered up, got ready, went to the airport, and then we left back for home. So the team doesn't pay for fuel. I have some sponsors in there that help out once in a while. They'll call me up and, we had one pay for an oil change. For an oil change for a bus like that, it's about $750 to $900. It's not cheap. No. But we manage. And I've always been a firm believer that when we start something, let's finish it. And but I mean, I will tell you that I was very hurt that I lost my players because I love those guys. I really do. Even the ones that get up underneath your skin because some of the guys. One of my biggest complaints that they get irritated with is if you're paying paintball, the agreement I signed with my sponsors that we would represent them every time we walk on the field. Does that mean when you're running drills on a Friday afternoon at Splat, which is another great field, you should wear your jersey and you should tag your sponsors? One of the complaints I got is we don't tag our sponsors enough. It's just me. I've got a handful of guys, 3 or 4 that tag them. The rest of them don't feel it's important. Well, here's the truth. Why would they want to give you anything if you're not tagging them? Haley's an example of that. She makes sure she tags Destiny and all of her sponsors and everything she does because she appreciates what she has and what she's been involved with. Everything we get, I appreciate. Listen, I love my Lux jacket. I appreciate everything I get, and I pass that stuff down. But listen, I'm not the least bit bitter at what paintball's provided for me. You always get haters in there when you're doing things on the right way. I believe. Lupe, tell me if I'm wrong. You and I have been friends for a long time, and I'm going to keep going. When this all happened, I thought, man, Kim and I talked about just walking away, man. Let's just go out and do it. And we can take vacations. Shoot, I could be in Colorado snow skiing, But there's a lot of people that I've received emails and messages and texts going, what's going on, man? How you doing? Can you come up? I have people friends of mine from New York that call me all the time and ask me, hey, when are you going to come up here and hang out with us? I got people in El Paso saying, man, we'd like to come up and hang out. I appreciate that stuff. And as we build another line for semi-pro or wherever that goes, we're going to finish the season. I don't know what next season holds for us because I'm not making any promises. There's a lot between now and then. We've always worked through the off season. But it's friends like Lupe that keep me going because, man, he's been my mentor for a long time. When the going gets tough, I call him and say, man, what do you got for me? Help me out. Let's talk about it. Because,
you pat me on the back way too much, man.
You've been in this game a long time, my friend.
I have, but I feel a little bit of your pain just holding together a 3-man team. That because currently I don't have to deal with AC kids right now because they're all playing on different teams. But I guess what you had said on your at one of your points is you kind of got they've gone on to bigger and better things, and I've kind of feel proud about that. That all the kids are now playing. One of them's playing D2 now or D3. I think D3. So they're doing greater things. Obviously, Haley is taking a step back, and now she's just playing on her pro line. I'm proud of that. So I mean, having said that, what is the future for your program? I mean, I know we had talked about it a little bit at Bunker Fest, but where do you go from here?
Yeah.
I mean,
and that was my question as well.
I don't have an answer for you yet. There's a lot. I just spent some money on doing some stuff on the bus because the guys wanted
I remember that.
an office, and so I'm currently working on that process and getting that done. I wanted it done before World Cup. But here's what I promise. I have a whole group of young men in the D4 line that I had to apologize this weekend because they felt like they've been treated horribly by some of the players. I'm not mentioning names. It's not that important. They felt like they were treated horribly. Felt like that they were left alone. So I did a very poor job because of how much time I'd spent with the semi-pro stuff that I didn't give them as much attention. And I'm going to tell you what, I owe them a huge apology, which I've done over and over again. Hayden and Fluffy went out and practiced with Kyle a couple of weeks back before we went to Bunker Fest and spent some time. And what we realized is we hadn't spent enough time with them. And the coach is doing a great job, but it can be overwhelming. There's a lot. We all have real jobs, right? Then we try to force in paintball on the weekends. And the coach over there, is playing Saturday and Sunday every week just to stay up with it. But what I will tell you is those young men have been with me. One of them, Cole, you guys know Cole, has been with me for almost 4 years. I mean, we got him past the stage where he didn't want to play because it hurt. You know what I mean? He was young,
Yeah.
and I will continue to be a part of their lives regardless of what happens. I'm just trying to get up to World Cup right now and make a good show and have fun. And I would like to watch my son play from the sidelines. See, I've heard criticism over the years of people going, you show a lot of love to your son. Well, let's be very clear. When they benched him bench was a strong word. When he didn't play as much in Dallas, it's because he was on his off game. He had just come back from vacation. He didn't get as much sleep. So he wasn't playing as well as he normally does. So that's just the way life is. You have hot and cold days. That's just paintball, right?
That's life.
It is. It really is. But I started this program to play paintball with my son. And when I set out to do it, I'll never forget them laughing at me. You're not going to do anything. How's an old guy your age and them going to play some paintball? Well, here we are 4 years later. And I just sort of shared a thing. You know that the post I put up the other day had 86,554 posts. And then I had a new one that I reposted it, had another 66,000 views. 66,000 views after the 86,000 original views. So we're not doing half bad to get that stuff. And here's the reality of that stuff. If the sponsors benefit for that and people that want to come into to paintball and start it, that's what it's all about. We have to continue to grow the sport. But being negative in paintball is what prevents us from getting corporate sponsors and outside sponsors to be involved with the sport. Doing dumb stuff and not promoting the sport and not helping these younger people get into it. One of my players, Cole, this is last year he can play into the youth. He's going to play with Mr. Middleton with Outlaw at World Cup. I'm super excited to be a part of that. Outlaw's been a great sponsor of ours, and I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed them and his mentoring. He called me this week because he wanted to talk and visit a little bit, and it was nice to see when he sent me the message that says, "Friend, I'd like to visit with you and see how things are going. How you doing?" And that's the kind of thing that warms the heart and knows that paintball has provided me with a lot of great family friends. Hayden used to make fun of me a lot of times because when I walked back from the bus all the way to where we're playing, it'd be an hour and a half because 100 people stopped me to talk and see how things are going, And
I know that feeling.
I've never met a stranger. But back to my original thing. I started this for Hayden, and it just grew, and he's done a good job. Yeah, we spent a lot of time, but Hayden was playing 4 and 5 days a week, him and Kyle, all the time, right, to get better. This wasn't natural for him. He had to work at it, right? He hasn't been playing for 15, 20 years like a lot of players have. So watching him progress was great for me. I enjoyed it, and it's nice to see his success. But is he the only reason we're in? No, because people like Andy that when somebody asked me last year, man, are you sure you're going to do this? I'm like, could you imagine what it would be like for me to let someone like Andy down? or Kyle down. Some of those people that have been Cole, you know, some of these guys that relied on this that I made a promise to, because here's the reality of life. I've never quit on anybody, but there's a lot of people in our lives that quit on us. And I was never going to quit on those guys. So even if Hayden did come to me at once and said, Dad, I need a couple of months off to get things. I'm trying to get some stuff with school lined out, and I want to move out, and this is that. But it didn't slow our program down. I didn't say, you know, I did offer to help with some expenses, which I do anyway, you know, with him. But it's my son. There's every father and every mother gets up in the morning and hope that they can provide the best. Loopy, the reason you do everything you do day in and day out is because you're children. You know, we get up when we're sick and we have a cold and all that stuff. But I feel like with all the kids that I had on my team, those are my kids. Kyle was sick. I mean, I went and picked up Kyle, moved him into my house because he was having struggle and get up and getting that knee moving. I moved him into my house, took him as my own child, and I got him up every morning and we exercised and we worked to work that leg and get him back because he wanted to be back out there.
Yeah.
You know, at his birthday party when he got out of surgery, we took the birthday party to him. He couldn't go.
Yeah. You lost a player too to a car crash. I mean,
you know, that it is haunting to think about that, but the goal, you never want to lose a player.
Right.
I love that. Go ahead.
So no, I'm just saying not in that way. Certainly
not in that fashion. Yeah.
No, and I'm just as close, and I'm going to tell you, people laugh at me all the time, but you know, he used to sit in the center console, which is a very uncomfortable spot when I drive the bus. And I used to make jokes about, man, you got to get some cushions in there. It's got to be hard on your butt. When I was driving, sometimes you get a little sleepy. And I was just trying to get an extra 5 miles to an area we could pull over and just take a little nap sometimes. And he'd sit there, and he'd turn on the music, and we'd sing dumb songs, or we'd laugh and we'd joke. And even now, I can see it when he's sitting there. I get tired when I'm driving. You know, I drove to Pennsylvania by myself because the players all flew. We had limited staff. And I remember getting tired, and I can still hear his voice when he was sitting there. So he's very much a part of my life, and he's the other reason why we've driven so hard to do it. And I have to thank all of the sponsors. You know, Christine was great. Kyle's parents sponsored the team and did different things. You know, last year they helped out with vans several times to get us there. You know, to make sure we had all the gear that took up there. With sponsors that help out with houses over this last couple of months. That's been great. So I've been blessed. I can't be, and the guys shouldn't be angry too. There's very few people that can say that most of their expenses were covered to play at this level and still have the ability to do it. Now, do I make some mistakes? Yeah. Was I probably hard on them? Yeah. Do I get upset when you don't show enough love to my sponsors? I do, because I make a commitment, and I really believe that you should undercommit, if you will, and overdeliver, right? Because that's the real idea behind it. You got it. But Hayden's got some great future in there, and I'm super excited for him for whatever that takes him and whatever he does. Just like if Boyd gets his opportunity and Andy gets his opportunity once and takes it where they need to be, I think it's all good stuff. I can't be mad at him. Fluffy plays with the Carbon team with us as a part of my program, and it's been great. I talked to Carbon about it now. He wants me to go ahead and give him a list of 3 players that's gonna play with them, so I'm super excited by that. But I've got sidetracked here, but I'll just tell you that we got a new coach for the semi-pro line, and we've gotten 7 players. One of them's coming from Russia. I can't give you a lot of details other than that. I'm really excited to have them. New York Wrecking Crew is contacted me, and they're scheduled to practice a scrimmage with us at the event. So that's good stuff. That's a great team. If you're going to scrimmage against somebody at the event, that's probably one of the best to do it with, right? So I'm excited to get those opportunities. But anyway, I'm just glad to be involved with the sport. I really am.
Now, unfortunately, I have to put this out there. So there are quite a few people in the chat asking. They're posting questions. I don't want to speak for you, Nyles. I don't know what you are and are not able to talk about, what you are comfortable talking about. But there are quite a few questions in the chat. basically they, a lot of people are asking about the history of the team in terms of former coaches and players, whether or not they were brought on board to, kind of help Hayden along. And again,
well, who would that be? Because who has Hayden been helped? I mean, when Ely was a part of the team, his mother paid for Smotroff, but Smotroff spent 70% of his time with Elia. So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
well, I mean, Leo's name was brought up a couple of times as to, his role. And then somebody else was asking whether or not players were cut. And was that intentional or?
I don't know what players are talking about. Have we cut players along the line? We have. Have players come to a mutual agreement that it wasn't beneficial based on the guidelines that I put in there? That's possible. But there was no coach that was ever brought in for Hayden. Number one, I didn't have the financial ability to provide him with his own coaching, and that's really a dumb question in my opinion, because why would I bring all the players on and then hire a coach to have one person? Number one, Smotroff was probably my favorite person of all. Now let me go back to Leo real quick. When you're talking about Leo Smotroff, I didn't pay Leo.
No, they're talking about Leo Sierban.
Oh, Leo's a good guy. Leo started with me right when we first got started. Leo's thing is Leo would get burnt out and he disappeared for a month or two, and then he'd come back for a little while. But he's great. But once he got up to D3 and above that, Leo still wanted to be a player versus being a coach too, and it's hard to be a player and a coach. We've all seen that fail many times. And then several of the players, and I'm not going to call them out because there's no sense in putting people in that position. They're all friends. There were certain players that said Leo wasn't capable of being at that level, and I'm not here to comment on that. I'm just telling you what the guys told me. And is there some things that's difficult? Sure. Did he do a great job in Dallas? Yeah. Well, halfway through Dallas, right before we made the finals, he looked up at me and said, "Nyles, I'm going home." I was like, "What do you mean you're going home? You guys got it from now." Well, wait a minute. You're here with us. You can't quit in the middle, but Leo is a great look at what he's doing right now. He's with Wasteland. He's doing a great job with the players over there. He's got a great program over there. I think the guy's doing a hell of a job. He did a hell of a job when he was with me. But at the time, he had some personal things in his life that were cutting. And people ask me, did you cut him? No. You want to know the truth? Leo had some personal things. I couldn't reach Leo for 3 weeks. I hadn't talked to Leo. He had some personal things going on. So I took him off the chat just to get a response out of him, and it went crazy. He got mad and lost it. And I still feel this day bad because that wasn't supposed to be the way it was. Leo was one of my families, one of my best friends. I mean, Leo moved into my house 4 weeks before that happened. He moved in. He still has a house key to my house, And so now I don't know if I'm going into too much, but no, it wasn't even a cut Leo scenario. It was a situation where the players wanted somebody that had more experience, and we were going and we were heading. And as an owner, I have to evaluate that and respect their wishes. And so I did. Leo's doing a great job now, and I'm super, super happy with him. I think he and I got off on the wrong foot on this whole thing the way when he bashed me on saying I stole his program and all that. Like, you work for me. This is my program. We were together. We do one thing I will tell you is I didn't make a decision that I didn't discuss with him. Just like on the field now, if AJ had we were talking, if I was going to make a decision, I didn't make a decision that didn't come from me and AJ talking about it. Nothing. None of my coaches did I ever make a decision without talking to him. Even Smotroff. When I had Smotroff and our language barrier a little bit, I still had to get that information in there, but I still discussed everything I wanted to do. And my way is not always the right way. That's why I have people. I have a panel that I would communicate with on a regular basis. And then when people wanted to get that panel so big that we're divided, I don't need that many. I need 3 or 4 people that give me your opinion, tell me what you think we ought to do, and let's talk about it. Let's vote about it. And I didn't do anything that I didn't discuss Leo, but Leo was going through some things. He was working on his mom's house for some personal things in his life that took him away from paintball. And it just wasn't the right time at the time either. And now he's got the best opportunity in the world, and I'm happy for him. I'm excited to see that Wasteland's doing so well, and that his team is doing well, and he's playing again. He looks great. I miss the fact that I haven't, seen his baby in a long time, because she used to come over to the house and we'd hang out and we'd barbecue. And do I miss those things? Yeah. A semi-pro took us to a different thing where it was, I'm very professional. I want things professional. I don't want dope smoked at my field. I don't want, what you do in your own house is your business. I don't want you to post negative stuff that could draw any negative attention to anybody. I don't want any of that stuff. And I'm not saying anybody did any of that. I'm just saying there were certain guidelines that I ran that are strict. I'm 52 years old. I'm a consultant in business, and I do the same thing with my people now that work for me. I teach people how to be better at what they do in business and be professional.
Sure.
And I ran my team the exact same way. Is it tough? I will tell you that running a team at this level is the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. There are no right and wrong ways. There are things I believe in. I believe that professional sports, and if you're playing at this level, you have to have a sense of professionalism into what you do. And I want things done a certain way.
Yeah.
When I'm at the field, I'm trying to film and I'm doing things to show sponsors and several of my players, one of the things I have a problem with is I don't want to see people cussing people out on the field, yelling at people. Even I've lost my temper a time or two on the field, but I don't want to hear anything about I followed Hayden around because the boy's been benched before because he wasn't playing good. If anything, I've been too hard on Hayden because I think that he could be potentially better than what he is sometimes, and you get mad and go, "What the hell are you thinking? Why'd you make that decision?" That's father. That's what you do in your head. You expect expectations that are higher,
Right.
But I can't beat the kid up because, for God's sakes, nobody else showed up the field to get the field ready. He's the only one that showed up 99.9% of the time to set the field up for us to scrimmage. Last couple of weeks, he wasn't there the whole time because he's got work and other things he's got going on. So, I'm happy that the players did, but there are certain players that never saw the field to help out unless we did it before we practiced or scrimmaged. So
Yeah.
yes. The answer is yes. When I first started, was it because I wanted to play paintball with my son? Well, hell yeah. Who else goes out there and goes, let me pick 10 guys up, pay half their bills, and work my ass off to get them done? And my pod person quit recently because she told me, you'll love this. She said she didn't realize how mean the guys had gotten when they get expected things. They were throwing the pods at her feet versus putting them on the table so she could pod paint, so she quit showing up. I thought she was mad at me. I had no idea. And she didn't tell me that till last week. And she goes, no, it was disrespectful. They just threw the pods at my feet like I was nobody. I thought, wow. And I didn't see it. I should have seen those things. And we take things for granted. So am I happy that my son's got an opportunity to do some great things? Sure. Am I happy that Andy and Colton and all these other guys got great opportunities? Most definitely I do. Chris is one of my favorite people in the world. Chris Garcia's only playing a couple of years. That kid's just kicking ass out there. He's got a lot to learn. There's somebody that can teach great things. I'm all for it. But go ahead. I've got sidetracked. So what was your question again?
Oh, that's okay. So again, there's various questions in the chat. I'm just going to go ahead and post it up and let you take it. So there's one there. So essentially, somebody was asking, was there a reason given as to why the players went to the San Antonio practice versus the one you had lined up for that weekend?
It's not worth having that conversation, but I'll tell you, it was disrespectful. The coach was going there because he coaches another team. I had a practice, and my practice was scheduled because they needed to spend time with the D4 line for one, and number two, we needed to talk about what happened at the previous event, and we had contracts coming up that needed to be discussed. Right? There's things that we needed to do that weren't there. Number one, we owe it to our D4 line to spend time with them. And a player sent me a nasty message and said that they were going and was just foolish considering they were still playing D4 and D5 teams when they went up there, which is not what it was. And even Mark called me from FSU and said, wait, it's only our D4 and D5 guys that were even there. So it's the same as if they're here. But the truth is there are things that we need to discuss. I need to talk about things. It's not just about play. We've always run drills. We've always run things, but that particular practice was to help our D4 line out and talk about them and get them ready for Bunker Fest, number one. And number two, we had some new contracts. That was when I signed Valken. I wanted to discuss it with detail, and I had paint specifically sent to me from Valken for them to shoot. And so that was the decision they made, and that's what the turning point of this whole thing is. They defied the directions. I set the practice up. They decided to do what they wanted to do, and they left, just for the record, they left Fluffy, Hayden, and Kyle completely out of it on that deal. So, and I didn't want to get into all that, but people, I mean, you want to ask me a question? I'll tell you, I have no secrets. There's nothing about my life. I play paintball, and everybody knows very good. All of my money for paintball comes from my paycheck, Kim's paycheck, or what little bit sponsors have been willing to help with, which is they pay half the entry. They take care of our paint at the events. One sponsor pays the hotel. You know, so go ahead.
Yeah.
So I guess just, you know, as obviously I live in the same area as you do now, so please, you know, if anything comes across wrong for me, please, it is an error. But so, you know, what I'm hearing is did you let them go or did they quit on you? Is what I'm kind of curious about.
They quit on me.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you that the Hayes guys have were disrespectful from day one. In this instance, and I love Jake. Luke is one of my favorite people. I actually told Luke I'd like him to take over as captain and run the team. And but Jake has been very argumentative. One of the things that they refuse to do is, I need you to wear your Cyclone jerseys when you're practicing, because that's what we promised the sponsors. I also need you to not wear your Hayes jerseys, because that's not who you play for. The sponsors, they contribute things to us, and they expect certain things in return. And when I sign my name on something and I agree to something, that's gold. And I don't think that's too much to ask. People argue that fact, but
okay. Well, I guess on that note, and you know, because I'm familiar with the Cyclones and everything, and I know with Destiny, you know, B has the girls sign a contract of sorts to make sure that, you know, they can't come back and say, well, we didn't know this. I mean, does any of your players ever have, because I know you have to sign stuff with Carbon or Shocker or anything, or Lux. I mean, is there anything have you had to go to that extreme yet? I know a lot of people don't, because you go on good faith.
I did. Now, luckily, my wife takes detailed scan pictures of everything we do, but she does have copies of the contracts from the players. The only players that don't have contracts, and I loaned them the gear for them to play the season that I already have, and I bought them their masks. I bought them their pants. They said they'd pay me back, but that never happened. But irrelevant to the point. At that point, I don't care. But their pod packs were given to me as a part of my sponsor deal. But everybody had contracts for the last four.
Yeah.
But it was agreed upon that if they didn't fulfill their stuff, they had to give them back to me by tomorrow, actually, because I need them for the new players. So, but yes, I mean, I have contracts, and one of the contracts, it does say in a contract that they've got to represent our sponsors well. I mean, one of the things is with Lux's agreement that I signed is that I'm only allowed to shoot their barrels, their stuff, and I have to share a certain amount of their stuff on social media. There's a lot to what we have to do in there. Carbon's the same way. I try to make sure that we live up to that expectation. Beyond that, and be even better. But we do have contracts.
Okay, I hate holding people's feet to the fire, especially in paintball where we're such a close community. But I mean, I understand
that small community at that.
Small community, like, you know, it's like I always say with a lot of newer players coming in, where, you know, you've got a Pee-wee football player here, and you got an NFL football player here. Whereas in paintball, you got your kid player here, and you've got your pro player here. Yeah. And that's kind of actually a very good thing. You know, we got a lot of good people here, but I mean, you know, you said I didn't even know y'all had a team lawyer. I mean, is that who would have drawn up your Cyclone contract, your player contracts possibly, or you
No,
just
I actually had help from Lux, and I drew them up. I didn't make them very complicated. My team attorney didn't come on until mid-year, and he's actually a paintball player, so that
okay?
makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And does a good job. But he does represent me in the team in the best interest. And when I have questions, I'm able to contact him, which is great, which I always do. I'm surprised he hasn't sent me a bill for over, but he also sponsored, the bus and helped out with the wrap, because that wrap's $10,000,
Yeah.
10.3 to be exact. But anyway, just things cost money. But yeah, we did have a player, but I didn't. Here's the truth. I only got the contracts because I was concerned about one or two people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really expecting it from my family to really need it, and it was actually, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was embarrassed to even have to present them with the contract, because I could show you pictures. I could post them today when they were signing their contracts, and the videos and details of them, and I can show you how happy they got when they got their guns, how exciting it was when they got their regs from Powerhouse, how excited they were for that. To me, I kind of felt like it was Christmas, right? When I can give you new things that you don't have to pay for. When I paid for the first masks, I didn't tell the guys that I paid for them, because it was more important for me to them to be in love with carbon and everything else. And carbon pays for part, I pay for part, and that sort of thing. And it was just exciting. And then when we got the new masks, and let it be known that I paid for part of that. Carbon paid part, I paid part. The guys didn't pay any of that stuff. But it was really, for me, it was exciting to give it to them and say, look, and never once did I go, oh, look what I did. It was like, look what you got here, man. This is great stuff. What a great opportunity.
Yeah.
That's my.
What was the? I guess there wasn't any expectation of you paying, that they would eventually have to pay for, because I know Mark Franz did that to a lot of his players on FSU, where he would say, hey, I'll cover this and I'll cover that, and then at the end of the event present him a bill and then pretend like he didn't know. I know you would be better. I have more, I guess I think more of you than I would think of Mark Franz in that situation. But maybe I'm just wondering, maybe some of these players thought, different, or didn't hear something correctly. So
I don't know what they could have heard. They didn't pay me anything. They paid for half their entry, and there's 3 or 4 players that like to pay their entry freaking the day before we leave, or a week before we leave, and which means I was subject to late charges, or I'd have to pay it all up front. And I am not a wealthy man by any means. I have 4 children, 8 grandchildren, who I love dearly. And really, I have about 30 kids, because all the people in the paintball world that I feel close to are part of my family.
Know the feeling. I'm paintball pop to a lot of people.
Absolutely. And so no, did we ever present the only 4 people I told them that owed me money? This is how dumb stuff can get construed, right?
Yeah.
We were at the event, and I told them, I said, listen, the only thing my guys got to pay for is their own pants. Everything else is paid for. All you got to do is pay your pants. I got the jerseys, got all the stuff. Carbon took care of the jerseys for us. And I said, all you got to do is pay for your pants. And those same 4 guys looked at me and said, oh, no, I don't have that. Well, I can't go to an event and represent my sponsor and then be upset with me. That doesn't work either. So I bought their pants and said, hey, all right, pay me back. And that's been since Dallas, and then one since the last event. And so now I will tell you, am I petty enough that I want that stuff back? Hell yeah. If you don't fulfill your contract, that belongs to me. I'm going to need that for the other players. And so the guys have to return their stuff. One's already returned it. The rest, some of the other ones that called me said they'll get it back. And one of them got upset and said, hey, can I give it to you after World Cup? I'm like, you don't understand. The new players coming in got to use that stuff, right? And we're talking pod packs, and I have some more on the bus and stuff. But I need that stuff to be able to provide the guns and stuff for those guys to use. So that's a requirement, But never once have I looked at it and said, oh, by the way, here's an example. If we ran over for the price of the hotels in the last 2 events, then I would look at one of my players and go, listen, you're going to have to pay me the extra money, because those conversations never happened. Matter of fact, we were told at the last event that we would only have 30 cases of paint instead of 50 cases of paint at the event. And I was like, oh, crap at the last minute. And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. That's going to put me in a position because the guys aren't prepared. And I didn't find out till a week before we left, not even a week, 4 days. Because I always like to call them 30 cases instead of 50, which, by the way, won't even get you through Saturday.
I was
you know
gonna
what I mean?
say.
So
Haley's got 90 at Florida, so I can't even imagine that.
Right. So I told the guys, I said, all right, listen, this is what it is. Jake and I were talking, and Jake's like, man, you got to let him know. I was like, why? My credit card's already on there. It's not like I can call him now and go, by the way, put an extra $200 a piece away in case we need paint money, right? That's the wrong time to add that in. So Kim told me, you might as well put your credit card on it because it looks like you're going to need to. And I'm like, well, I don't have a choice. So I wasn't worried about it. So not once did I look at the guys and go, listen, be prepared. We're going to run out of paint. You're going to be in trouble. That wasn't the conversation. Now, as it worked out, Giant, being the great people they were, sent the extra paint for us. So it was great. They took care of us. Now Valken has really stepped up and done an amazing job for us. I'm so blessed. We've shot such great paint with them. I'm really glad to be a part of them. I'm still glad to be a part of Giant Party Sports. I mean, man, Gio's been fantastic for us. I love that whole program they provided. Carbon, another great one. I had a great meeting with Carbon tonight and what we're doing going into the next event. And so I'm excited. I really am. I was a little down. It's never good to feel like you lost your players, but
yeah, I remember the conversation we had at Bunker Fest. You were pretty bummed because
it brought tears to my eyes. If you want to know the truth, I actually shed some tears over it because I was more surprised at the people that I had been there for them when they had tough times in their life. When players come to me, couldn't afford their paint on Sunday to scrimmage or practice, and I would shell out, an extra $200 or $150 to help out with paint to keep their costs down. Or I'd say, listen, don't worry about your paint. Keep your money and I'll just take care of it, right? Because of the situation. And that was our business. It wasn't anybody else's business. But I would take care of those things. And I've done that for more than one player. I mean, hell, my son pays his own paint. He doesn't like it, but he does it. Go ahead.
So I guess Nyles, I guess going forward, I guess a couple of things. So at Cup, how many teams are you taking? I mean, you're still doing a semi-pro line, correct?
I will have a semi-pro line up there because, and here's the reason why that's so important. I've never not fulfilled my agreement with anyone, and I would be letting my sponsors down by not having one. So I put a team together.
Yeah,
I would not be directly involved. Go ahead. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, that's what I was wondering about when we were talking about this at Bunker Fest. If you were going to be able to take a team to a World Cup or a semi-pro team, I mean, beyond that, are any of the other lines going?
They were going to. I am taking my D4 line. They are playing some other events, but they're not playing as a group because some of the guys can't afford to do it. And financially, as you know, that event's extremely expensive. So they're going to prepare for next season, which I'm okay with. And then there's some things that I'll be obligated to do at World Cup that I'm not at liberty to discuss at this point until
fair enough.
But I will tell you, it's exciting news. It's great stuff. I'm super glad to be involved with it, and I'm excited. So the coach and all the staff that's going to be handling the semi-pro line, I'm pleased to have them. They're going to run things. They're going to run it based on what my program is. So I'm excited. They're going to come to Texas, and scrimmage and meet. And we've arranged some things. I have a Zoom call tomorrow night, and I have an entire staff that is going to run that. So I'm not going to be involved with it because I have some things I have to take care of at World Cup. But just know that we are going to represent our sponsors the correct way. And I appreciate the fact that they've stood by me through everything. And I owe it to them to stand by them. And I would never let a sponsor down.
Yeah, because this could have been potentially pretty damaging to your sponsor list and stuff. So
yeah,
very well could have. And
I guess, so I guess as far as beyond World Cup, what's the plan?
I haven't made one. A lot of that's things that we still have to talk about, and it has not been enough time for me to sit down and discuss all that in extreme detail. I have some meetings at World Cup, but I am not sure about that yet. I don't have any idea. What did he say?
it says that they heard that Opta Notorious is having their D4 line pay for everything, and the semi-pro does not. They're asking if this is kind of the same situation.
No, my D4 line pays nothing for the semi-pro. Matter of fact, my D4 line, I have somebody in charge of that. Matter of fact, Cam is in charge of it now. But Cole's mom takes care of the paint stuff, entry stuff. They just send what is necessary to the bank account and use the credit card that's on file for whatever events they play. But no, do they pay their own way? And most definitely they do. Now, we do have fundraisers that they use, and they're going to be scheduled this next season. We had a big fundraiser getting ready to start, but I didn't have anybody that could run that fundraiser, and I was too preoccupied with semi-pro, so we put it off to the beginning, till after the season's over to get prepared for next season. But I don't know how Mark does his program. I've been very pleased, and I use him as a guidance tool with Mark. Matter of fact, I'll be visiting with him next week. I've got to take some stuff to him and discuss them. But my D4 line is not paid for anything for anybody else. If anything, I feel like that we should have probably shelled some more cash out for them. They get great discounts from all the sponsors, but they don't get a whole lot of liquid cash. Like, there's no sponsors giving them money for hotels, no sponsors giving them anything. So it's split up between the players, but I hope to change that in the next season for them.
Okay. I just can't even imagine handling the finances for multiple lines, much less how we did it with AC Kids and had to deal with the moms and the kids and all that. So, I mean, that's not very easy.
Yeah. I need to cut in real quick, Lupe. So there's a lot of people asking questions about the financial side. Guys, I'm not going to put people's personal business out there. I understand that this is stuff that you guys want to know, and there's all kinds of rumors and stuff like that. But unfortunately, that is Nyles' personal business, and that's between him and the players. Well, I'm sorry, I cannot ask him to divulge financial, numbers and stuff like that. That's asking too much.
Well, what money do they think there is? There's nobody giving us cash money. We have one guy gives us money for a hotel for three events, which two events is all he's giving it to, and it paid for hotels. There's nobody giving us $20,000. There's no money for things. What sponsor do you know in paintball that throws a bunch of cash at people? Let's look at the real world. Pro players aren't even making a bunch of money, so there's not a lot of liquid cash. So grow up. This is not the professional football and hockey and all that kind of bullshit. There's my money. I spend a lot of money. My wife and I spend about $50,000 a year, $40 to $50,000 a year in paintball. The guys didn't pay for the $397 I spent 2 weeks ago for pods. That didn't come out of their money. What money did they have? My guys send money for one thing, and that was half of their entry. Not even the late charges, half the entry. That's what they pay. They hadn't even paid for a hotel in the last few events. It's all been paid for. They sure as hell didn't do it. So they didn't pay for their guns, they paid for their equipment. So I don't want to hear any of that garbage. Right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got to feel your pain on buying pods. That's for sure.
Give me a break. If I'd have went to the guys and said, listen, I used to split that up. I'd have the field. We bought a box of pods. I'd say, listen, split up with the players over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks so it doesn't hit them as hard. Be $5 or $10 a piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now it's just too much work, so I just bought the pods. I picked them up. Ryan ordered them. I got the pods in there. Well, whatever. Do I have some players that lost their temper once when we went to FSU and I said, whether you're here or not, you got to pay. We bought that entire amount of paint. It wasn't there. It was somewhere else. We bought a branch of paint somewhere, and everybody had to split it evenly. That's just the way it is. My son missed practice and had to pay for paint. That's just the way it is. But there is no liquid money. I mean, like, if there was, send it my way, would you?
I'd like a piece of
Somebody
that
else
as
can make
well.
the payments on the bus if you want. I mean, you want to make the payments on the bus, or the $980 in fuel and the $750 in oil change and
the oil change. Wow, it's like an exotic sports car oil change.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, but it's a requirement. There's things you got to do. You got to clean out the airlines. I got a guy right now that's taking care of all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, pay my payments. Come pay my bills for a change. I mean, I'm the one that writes the check for the bus stuff.
Yeah. Now, backtracking a little bit, Nyles. So you said that you're going to be the semi-pro line that's going to be playing World Cup. What players are we going to be like? Is Kyle going to be playing this year? Is Hayden playing this, or I shouldn't say this year, this event? Who are we? Yeah,
I mean,
who are we going to be seeing stepping on the field?
Is Fuzz still on the site? I mean, Fuzz is still with you, right?
Fluffy was no. Fluffy was upset because he didn't want to play with guys he didn't know.
Oh.
Right, that's what he said. I don't want to play with a bunch of guys I don't know. I'm not mad at him for it. Fluffy's getting older. He works very hard to play. He works very hard at work, and his time is valuable. So he made a choice. Do I like his choice? Absolutely not, because Fluffy is a very good businessman. He's a very smart individual. He's a great player. I mean, I love having him. I love being around him. I mean, he and I, for my birthday for the last 3 years, we did shots together. That's my boy right there. But whatever's better for him, he has to follow where his heart is. He's getting married this next year, so he's got a lot going on. Hayden, I don't want to say anything. He will be playing World Cup. He will be playing for another team.
Okay.
Which is why I want to watch at World Cup, because there's big things going on for him, and I'm proud of him for where he's going. I can't divulge that. I just know I'm super excited about it. And he told me that this is the most he's been excited about paintball in about 6 months.
Yeah, that's a good feeling.
Yeah, so if he's happy, I'm happy. But they're all new players. I'm making no commitments past the season until we see how it goes. We talk, and
in regards to Kyle, I know he's had some health issues. So what's his progress been? I know when I was down there visiting, I stopped by and I hung out with you guys for a little bit. I got a chance to actually talk with Kyle. So I know you guys are really trying to do everything you can to, not push him too hard, but do you think he's ready to come back yet?
Kyle's playing. So let me tell you.
Okay.
Kyle is a very unique individual. I would give my soul for that kid. I love him. He's like one of my own. You can never replace a Kyle. Let me tell you, Kyle at Chicago dove in the snake, slid up, shot 4 guys, ran up, hit a buzzer, and then coach benched him, which I thought was crazy because he played really well. So, Kyle is a great motivated player. He's doing a great job. He has specifically asked me, because he enjoyed playing with the D4 guys. He asked me if he could play with the D4 guys. And I'm going to tell you, Kyle and I, proper way, went and had stayed with the D4 guys a couple of weeks ago right before Bunker Fest, and I had the best damn time with those guys. I had me laughing, and we barbecued. Kyle sitting in the hammock. If you get a chance to look at the pictures, you'll see it. Watching that kid smile is more powerful than anything I can stand for. He's a great player. He's a good kid. He said he just thought that semi-pro was not where he wanted to be right now. He wanted to be with the D4 guys where he could do some good. He could help them. He could coach them. He could be good for them. And I think that's just the right place for him. So I'm super excited for him. I am. So everybody's doing the great things, and I can live with that. Hope I answered your question.
I believe so. Do you? I know it's getting kind of late there, and I apologize, Nyles. Do you have much more time?
I'm in a hotel room. I don't have any place I have to be till. I'm actually going to I have to go find a client tonight about 11:30. So other than that, I'm good.
Okay. I keep seeing the same question getting asked over and over again, so I don't want to gloss over it. And again, answer it or to how you see best fit. But people are asking why I guess I should say why were some players cut? And I'm not sure how far back they're referencing, but why were some players cut? And was that with Hayden's best interest in winning?
Hayden had nothing to do with anybody. Why to play? Why would Hayden be? I didn't start Hayden. The coaches start Hayden. I had nothing to do with that. I don't want to. That's just. Come on, grow up, people. I don't have time for all that. Let's call it what it is. All right. If players aren't going to live by the program, I don't need them. And the program is you have to represent people well, the team well. I've always believed the team has to be family. You want to know the truth? The D4 guys wanted nothing to do with the semi-pro guys, and neither did Kyle. They said that they'd become arrogant. I had 3 parents on the D4 line that told me they didn't want nothing to do with it. They were just arrogant. They treated them like crap. And that's my fault because I didn't address those issues, right? I was so caught up in what we were doing that I didn't address the issues. So can I tell you, I don't know what players are referring to, but have I cut players along the line? I have. Have players and I sat down and thought it was the best interest that we came to an agreement that they played somewhere else? Is that possible? Sure, it has. But I can't tell you one that, and none of them had anything to do with Hayden, because Hayden has never once looked at me and said, Dad, cut a player. I had a panel of 3 guys, and I've asked all 3 of those guys what they thought. When Leo was coaching for me, Leo's been very boisterous over the years of who need to be cut. You can ask Leo. Leo thought Hayden was a great player. I think Hayden's a great player. Do I think his strengths and weaknesses? He's a much better back player than he is a front in some situations. But coach put him in the snake as a front man. He did a hell of a job in it. So had nothing to do with me. I don't make those calls. So leave my son out of that. I mean, the boy's a hell of a player. He's done a good job. He's worked hard to be where he is. And anybody else's play had nothing to do with him at all. Period.
It looks like they were specifically asking about a player named Jake.
What about him?
That specifically was a name that came up numerous times in regards to players that were cut.
I'm not a fan of disrespect from anyone, and Jake is a great player. Any team would be lucky to have a Jake. Yeah, he brings a lot to the table, but it wasn't a cut situation. Jake and I came to an agreement. We had a disagreement. Number one, you're not going to tell me that I can choose to come join you and be a part of the team or not, because it's my team. I started this. I brought us where we are. I'm the one that gets the financial stuff going for us. And this is really irrelevant to the point. Jake's a good player. If he's where he wants to be and he's happy, I'm all for him. I'm the one that wanted Jake to play for me. I've been looking for Jake for a year to play for me. And I've seen Jake kind of bounce around and do some different things. And, I've had other fields call me and players play for me and tell me, oh, this player's owe me money. And I tell them about it and we go on about our business. I don't like to get into all that. Jake's a good player. I'm happy he is happy where he needs to be. Was there a situation where I said, Jake, you suck, you're out of here? No, absolutely not. Jake's a great player. He brings great things to the table. Everybody has good games and bad games, and if we just can't get along and can't hit on the same cylinders, that doesn't mean I cut him, and that doesn't mean he quit in bad terms. Are we going to have disagreements? Well, sure we are. I'm going to have disagreements with everybody. My son and I have had disagreements before on the field. Matter of fact, I thought I was going to smack the shit out of him once. So, but listen, players come and go, man. That's part of the sport. Listen, if I lived in the world, I'd like everybody to have when I first started to be back together, and we'd like to be all the way up. My goal was to take the main line all the way to pro. I wanted to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to be,
wanted to be dynasty
off the field,
And with local kids, no less.
Right.
That's been my dream since day one, right? I still brag about that. Man, this is great. We have most of them. But when Kyle looks at me and says, Nyles, our coach, what he called me, he says, I don't know that I don't like being around them. It's just different now. And I know it's because they're busy and lives are busy. Jake works full time. Chris works full time. They go to the gym. They practice in the evenings, and time is valuable to people now, right? It seemed like before time wasn't quite as valuable, right? Now it's super valuable. The dollar doesn't go as far as it used to go. And
Sure.
it doesn't work for everybody. Um, did I enjoy having Jake? Yeah. I mean, look at my Facebook. He's all over there. I loved watching him run. He proved me wrong. I made a joke like a dummy. I said, Jake, I don't think you're faster than Andy. I was full of shit. Because he beat Andy real quick and hurry. Made a point. Told you I was faster. I said, yeah, you were. So I had to post it up. I was wrong. But it's been fun. You know, I don't know what to tell you. Have players been cut in the past? I'm sure we've cut some players. I can't tell you one off the top of my head. I just walked up and said, listen, you can't be here anymore. And anytime you cut, I'm a sensitive guy when it comes to that stuff. So I'd like to believe that in the real world, everybody gets to stick around and hangs around with us. But the truth is this is a time of year where players quit. They take off. One of my rules last summer was we had an agreement. We weren't going to quit during the offseason. One of my players wanted to take the whole offseason off, and it doesn't work. And his excuse was, well, I'm practicing with so-and-so on my day off. Well, okay, but you need to be practicing with the team. That's how we get better, right? Individual practice is great for on drills, but the truth is you play better when you get used to playing with the same people. That's one of the advantages we had through D3 is that our guys have played so well together because they've been together so long.
Yep.
Right.
You could literally listen to Kyle and Hayden have a conversation, or Fluffy and Hayden, Fluffy and Kyle. You know, they've been playing for so long together, they have conversation. Chris Boyd and Chris G on the D side. Those guys, they have conversation. They could talk about making a damn pizza and still kill people on the field because they've been together so long, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I could go all day about them. I'm not even angry. Listen, I have a few rules that I'm serious about. Number one, don't be late to practice. It's not fair. It shows disrespect to your team. I've always been that way, and I have players in the last couple of months that think it's a joke. It's not a joke. Wear your jerseys. We practice how we play. That's the reality, right? Never once have I watched an NFL player walk out there and just play in his jock strap and some shoes and no shoulder pads. You know, you're gonna put gear on, right? Practice how you play. That's how you get better. You know. It's kind of like when you don't wear your chin strap and then you put it on and all of a sudden you feel like it's choking because you weren't ready. You know, there's just a lot of things in there that we take for granted that people like me think about. Now maybe that's because I'm old. I mean, shit, I'm 52. I think about those things. Loopy, I'm not putting you to sleep, am I, sir?
Oh, no. I was just, I mean, I'm not that old yet. I'm 52 too, believe it or not. So
I did hear. We got to have a drink together on that one.
You obviously have the more stressful job dealing with all these people. So I can't even imagine. So
I did have 2 heart attacks, and I've had
you did
a partial that I had one not too awful long ago, about 4 weeks ago, and then I had a reaction to a medicine they changed me to that my ankle swelled up the size of Thanksgiving. And I spent the night in the hospital and still went to work the next day, which is why I've tried to surround myself with people that could handle things for me so I wasn't more involved, right?
I hear you. I've had to tell B that multiple times because she's going to put herself into a grave trying to run around. And I mean, you have like, I guess, 3 or 4 lines. She deals with 100+ people at a time, and she's trying to please everybody. Yeah, well, and I guess that kind of goes without saying. You can't please everybody, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got rumors. Everybody's got thought process. Until you've walked in my shoes, shut the hell up. You know, until you've done what we've done. And here's the deal. It's hard work. It is. It is hard work. And anybody comes up and asks me, I tell them exactly what they want to know. I tell people all the time, come see me. I'll tell you exactly what it takes. It's work. And anybody that's involved in paintball, and these people that think they're going to play D4 ball and everything's paid for them. There is no real benefit for people to just throw money at you. It's not realistic.
You got to pay your dues.
I had a lady call me today. She goes, man, we have a great cause for the school. I need $10,000 to help our program out at school. And I'm at the company I'm working for. I'm like, listen, I get it.
Right.
But for a company to throw $10,000, there has to be value in that. It's not just a gift. They have to get something in return, right? You know, if we buy advertisement, we want something back for the advertisement. That's everybody, right? You know, people buy advertising on the bus. Well, they don't pay enough to pay for the damn bus because people that are on that bus gave you merchandise, most of them. It costs money. So that money still has to come out of somewhere to pay for the wrap. They don't wrap for free. I tried that. They laughed at me. So anyway, I tell people all the time, listen, I'll answer any questions you want. I'll talk to anybody. I love people. But this is a business that if you're going to run a program like this and you want to run it professionally, people have to understand there's certain guidelines. There's structure in what we do. If you run something without structure, it doesn't take long before that structure is gone. And what you have is gone if you don't keep to the guidelines. My guidelines are strict. I don't want you getting drunk at the events. You know, I don't want you staying up and walking around the NXL when you got to play tomorrow and drink 10 beers or 6 beers because it dehydrates your body. You're not yourself. I like to be in bed at a decent hour. I like team dinners. Don't tell me you don't want to go to team dinner. That's important. It's a part of what we are. So just some things in there.
Okay. Well, I hope we didn't get your blood pressure up too much. So
Hell no, I'm good.
So, well.
All right. Well, I mean, you know, unfortunately, like I say, there's tons and tons of questions in there, and it's really getting kind of late. I'm really sorry, guys. I know there's a lot of stuff that you guys want to be addressed. You want to talk about, but I myself, unfortunately, am gassed. I had a long day at the hospital today, so
just
10 minutes.
See if I can.
Oh my gosh.
I think I know the answer to this one, but the bus is in Arkansas, right? Getting beds put on it, correct?
There's more than that. Whether there, we actually have a guy that's doing some maintenance on it because I wanted to make sure. I was told that when you have certain things, not being a mechanic, when I was on my way back, there's a sensor that came on, and I don't know what that sensor means. So I pulled over, made some phone calls, and now I've been driving. I've been in the bus nonstop for 2.5, 3 days of it running. And when the sensor came on, my manual doesn't tell me what every sensor is. So I called and they told me what the sensor was and said, hey, you can change that for about $175. I was like, well, shoot. Yeah. While you're here, let's change it. So they changed. There's 4 of those sensors, by the way. They told me they only needed to change. It'd be better to change one of them, but I figured if I'm there, let's just change them all. Yeah. So, and then the guy said, hey, I can do the bunk beds the way you want them. Yeah. This is what I do. So he was drawing some plans, and I wanted an office in the back of the bus because I want my coaching staff to be able to go in the office, print the layout out, discuss it, look at guns up, laminate. Yeah. We have a laminator and stuff on the bus, so you can laminate it, do what you want. And if you want to have a private conversation with a player, he could do that. Or if you just want to get in there and shut the door and do it yourself. So the other thing is we have a tankless water heater that's going in there. We're trying to put a small tank that will pull it in there to get a better shower. So if we are to face in a situation of practice, the guys can wash off before they head home or whatever. So there's some things they're working on in there that I'm super excited about. I was a lot more excited about it before the changes. Yeah. But it was just one of those things where I didn't want any complications. So I figured while we were on our way back, the guy said he could do it. So I stopped in. And I met some great people, by the way, and while I was up there. And Kim thought it was a good idea, so I usually answer to the boss most of the time.
Okay. Everybody take a big cleansing breath.
Yeah, you guys, I cannot keep up with you guys. I really can't. You're just... All right. Yeah, this is... Wow. Okay. See, a lot of people, that's the thing, is I'm seeing the same question from a bunch of people that, I mean, we can't answer the question because Nyles himself said he can't answer the question. So
let me answer this way. I'm not a quitter. I don't give up. And it's important to me that the sport we love continues to grow. And I did make a commitment to fulfill something. So,
Yeah.
if that helps, I do expect them to do well.
Yeah.
So, whoever's asking that question, first of all, they weren't practicing to make themselves better. They have to work on communication. One of the problems we had is the team was not communicating well. It just drives me nuts because they get to an event and they would not communicate well. Now, the only person that's asking this question is because they've been talking to Jake and whatever. I don't give a shit. But the truth is, they were going to practice with the D4, not to practice against them. We had a meeting scheduled, and they were to help them get better. That's their job. You go to any top team, they help their lower level teams get better. You fucking people aren't pro. You owe it to your bottom lanes. You guys started somewhere. Somebody came back and helped you. John Jackson came out and helped us. Didn't charge us a dime. Helped us out many times when we were growing because he wanted to help out, right? So, they had 3 scrimmages that were scheduled against great teams. Texas Demolition, Tribe called me. I got New York Wrecking Crew that scheduled a scrimmage with us. And then we have FSU. We go to FSU 2 weeks before the layout drops consistently. And it's been great. Probably one of the best practices ever. Texas Demolition was one of the best. We've had the Saints come down. They were great too. But so do I expect them to get better? Well, number one, you have to get used to communicating with one another. It doesn't matter who you play. If you can't communicate, you can't win. Communication is a key part of the field. But that wasn't what that day is. You're making excuses on what it was. I don't want to hear that crap. They went up there and practiced D4 and D5 teams when they went to X Factor. So stop the bullshit. They were practicing D4 and D5. I got multiple phone calls from people telling me, well, that's what it, did they practice against Texas Titans a little bit? Probably. I wasn't there for that. They're still D3. So they're still not playing semi-pro or D2 teams. It's at the same token. So it wasn't like they were doing anything. The point is, we owe it to our D4 line to be there for them. And I was trying to bridge the gap so they can help them out and get prepared for an event. And when I got parents telling me that the guys disrespect them, and by the way, the words that they used to disrespect my D4 line is also a big problem because they don't have that right. You don't get to pick on people. You don't get to talk trash about people. You get to help people be better. The world that we live in has to be a better place. One of the biggest things we've always done is give 3 positives at the end of every practice. And I'll be damned if we didn't get away from that because that was one of the things that everybody loved the most was giving the 3 positives. And not about paintball, just in general. What has the world got positive around us? What's going on in your life? We got to be better to help other people get better.
Sure.
Oh, one more thing. And the second part of that is we need to have a meeting and talk about the things that didn't go well and things that we need to work on. Number one. Number two, I have 3 contracts that we need to talk about with sponsors that wanted us to use them for World Cup. And those are things that we needed to discuss. And then what our upcoming 5 weeks is going to be. So anyway, go ahead.
No. Yeah, like again.
On a side note, I mean, I appreciate all the references to being a farm animal, but please.
See, here's unfortunately here's part of the problem is that there's a lot going on in the chat that unfortunately, like some of this stuff we can't address. Again, some of it's private information, some of it's stuff that's just that's asking too much for us to talk about, and it's absolutely true. There are 2 sides to every story, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm having a hard time trying to get both sides because I'm falling asleep. Not because this is boring, but because I've had a long day working. So, I want to give you guys what you are asking for. Downside to it is that spirit is willing, body is weak right now. The other thing is that there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. There's a lot of things going on in the chat. I'm in California. You're talking about stuff that's happening in Texas. So it's very hard for me to, reference because I have no point of context. So that's a little more difficult for me to weigh in on. However, that being said, no, I'm not supporting anybody in this. Let me make that very clear. As a content creator, I cannot pick sides. I was asked. What's that?
There's not even a side. It doesn't really matter.
Well, no, that may be true, Nyles, but people are saying that there are that there is negativity. I understand it's 8:45 in Cali, Josh, but I also worked a 10-hour shift in an emergency animal hospital as the lead nurse. I'm gassed. I apologize. But it's again.
I'm not going to listen to any negativity anyway. It doesn't matter. People are going to be people.
What's that?
There's no reason to listen to negativity anyway. That's the problem.
Well, and that wasn't my intention. That wasn't my intention for asking you to come on. My intention was just to try and, share some of the news. You've been on our show many times before, and it's always been, a good time. What's Lupe eating? Yeah, there's the real question. That's the hard hitting question. What's Lupe eating? You've been on the
Ticket Express.
Oh boy. But no, I mean, I can't say that I'm siding one over the other. So please don't think that I'm supporting anybody over anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I could see you're probably out of the loop, and obviously, I get to hear every corner of Houston, but I just take it with a grain of salt. I'm never gonna pick a side. I'm always gonna be the neutral guy because that's just the way I am, So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Well, I always appreciate the time, guys.
Yeah. Well, no, and of course, I'm out of the loop 100%. Yeah. Well, it happens, but again, I wanted to be able to give you an opportunity to be able to talk about some of the changes that are coming, some of the things that are coming up, and I am excited to hear what happens. You said you've got some news regarding Hayden. You've got news regarding the semi-pro line. So, that was a big part of, why, having you come on. The other thing was the fact that, there's so many rumors that gets, spread around within paintball. It's so hard to know for sure, how much is true, how much is just that exactly a rumor. Who's rostered on the semi-pro line? Okay, there's a question. Roster on the semi-pro line. I believe you said so. AJ Lopez's team. You're picking up some guys from them from the WCPPL, correct?
No, we've been talking. We have not made
okay
on that, but I have some team. If you look at the roster, it's already up. You guys can look at the roster. There's some good players. There's some more changes that you'll see come. I am not in charge of that roster. The coach that's coaching that will be making decisions on that roster, not me. So I have not fully looked at the roster. I have talked to several of the players. I have talked to the coach. I've done some research on some things, but I haven't had a lot of time with all that. But I do think they'll do very well based on who they have coming and playing. So I'm super excited about them, and just excited to be a part of paintball. Really,
it is. What about you, Lupe?
Oh, I'm just saying, me too. I'm really excited to be a part of paintball. I mean, I've been it's just like Nyles. I've been gifted with knowing and meeting a lot of different people through this sport, so.
Well, I mean, had it not been for the fact that I decided to, start this show, God, we've been doing this for 3 years now. Had I not decided to start this show, I probably would have never gotten back into paintball and then made all of these friends that I have. So, it's definitely ringing true for me as well. Now, if I could just make it out the goddamn World Cup.
Yeah, no kidding.
We've been here for 3 years.
Yeah, we had a plan for him to come to Houston and then take the bus over with you, but
again, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
That's right. So,
yeah,
eat a slice in your memory or your honor.
I appreciate that. And make sure you get good footage of the bubbles in the fountain too.
Oh yeah.
Forgot about that.
Oh man, I remember one year it was higher than Haley, and she's standing right next to it. It's just like, so, yeah. Oh well, always next year, right?
One can hope. That being said, I will say this much for the show as well. We went through a period of no content really outside of reposting stuff on Instagram. We could potentially be seeing some big changes for the show as well. That's really all I can say for right now. We'll have to see what the future holds for Behind the Math. But again, I am going to have to end the show here because I still need to take a shower. I'm literally still in my scrubs right now. So I need to take a shower. I need to eat something.
Yeah, I still got paint all over my legs from earlier, so.
Yeah, Sins, I understand. But that's the thing is cliffhanger. Okay, see, now you're putting me in a position where I'm going to have to compromise myself. I'm not out to put people out, to air their dirty laundry. I'm not out to, I'm not out to do anything aside from provide a platform. You're asking me to pick a side. So, yeah. To ask hard questions. Yeah, well, you're not wrong, but at the same time, that puts me.
We're not the McLaughlin group. So.
Exactly.
Exactly.
All right. I am going to let you gentlemen go. Like I say, it's much later for you than it is for me, but I still got to get myself cleaned up from tonight. So, Nyles, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on.
Always.
I know we kind of, delved into some stuff that, maybe was a little sensitive, but I do appreciate you talking about it.
No problem. I have no secrets. I don't give a shit. Man, I have a public Facebook. I have public everything. So.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate it still. And Lupe, again, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to join me as well. Both of you guys have been very good to the show. You both have been, good, very strong supporters of us. And I really appreciate that, much like Mike at Charm City has been a big supporter of ours. We've got a lot of backing, and so I do appreciate that. So that being said, just remember, guys, in order to grow the sport, we really do need to come together and support it in the best way we can. That means getting out there, supporting your local fields, support your local shops, slap your dollars down on those counters, and do your part to help literally grow the sport. And remember, if you can move, you can shoot, then you can play.
Wash, rinse, and repeat.